Hi, I'm Meg.
And I'm David.
Welcome to The Average Vegans, a podcast to help you live an attainable vegan lifestyle. We're not the ripped influencer vegans you hear about in other podcasts. We're just some ordinary people living in the South, eating plants and loving animals.
And this episode, that we're having on this fine evening where we are located, is about food you didn't realize was vegan and food you didn't realize was not vegan.
A little tricky, little things.
They do.
Surprises.
Oh, that's that's like the vegan meme of like if it's like you learn how to read labels so well. My favorite one is seeing a package is vegan but reading the label to make sure. And then was it not seeing vegan on the package and unsure because no vegan ingredients in it.
Yes.
But that's one thing as a vegan, especially if you're new to this, is you get really good at like reading labels.
Yes.
It becomes
and spotting those little outliers that are
Yeah.
gonna to ruin everything for you.
It becomes almost like a superpower. Because there's people who are like, who are like friends of mine who aren't vegan. They'll like go, oh, this looks fine. I go, nope. I'm like, what? I'm like, you see this like 20th item here on the list is buried between
Right.
14 commas. That one. You get so good at just seeing like, oh, there's honey, and then that's obviously lanolin, and that's that's animal fat, and that's this. You can notice off the bat.
There are times when I'm not sure and I send you a photo because you're my eyes. Because I'm just like, I feel like I'm missing something. I never am. You've never said, no, that's not vegan. It's always been vegan, but I
Yeah.
just like triple guessed myself and I'm just like,
Well,
I'm missing something. I know it.
my favorite ones when I have to convince you. You're like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's cool. I don't, but
Well, it's like,
sometimes I'm like, okay, I've been vegan almost 10 years. I'm telling you, I would eat this. You're good.
it makes me so uncomfortable.
It does. The worst part is when you're like, when you are, even me, I'm like going, oh, I don't know what that means.
Right.
Let me get my phone out. Oh man, you didn't. Because what's really bad, and we'll talk about this later, is there's some things that can be animal derived or plant derived, and they don't tell you. And you're like, oh shit. And I err on
So
the side of
close.
caution. I just go, fuck it, I'm out.
Right.
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of the things you didn't realize are vegan. They're going to be very surprising. Some
Yeah.
of these were absolutely shocking to me, and I'm pretty excited to share these little tidbits. So these are specific kinds of food. The first one being the original Ritz crackers. So I have that twice on my list.
Yeah, I saw.
Um, and I
I'll
always
let it go.
thought there had to be like some kind of butter or dairy or something in
That's
them
what I
because they're
thought too.
so like kind of creamy, like they have that buttery flavor. But original Ritz crackers are perfectly vegan, so you can put your little favorite vegan cheese on there, vegan pepperoni, make your own little like what's it, a Lunchable.
Yeah. See,
See, I need that in life.
dude, I'm so sad. I try all the time to find like vegan Lunchables. Like, oh my god, somebody's got it. No one has it. I'm like, oh,
No.
I don't know why. I'm a 37-year-old man. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I had like a Lunchable with like,
I will make that as a nighttime snack. I'll make
oh
my own
bro,
little version because I'm too like
bro.
pissed off to try to find it up myself.
I know, but that's one Lunchables. So remember the crackers and like, it was so good
Oh
and just full
god,
of salt. It was it was so bad.
you are. Oh. So another surprise is the Pillsbury crescent rolls,
Mm.
the originals, not like some butter flavored, obviously. But the original crescent rolls are vegan, and so that makes like a great thing to use at Thanksgiving. I like to add things in the middle of my crescent rolls to make like little snacky treats on the weekends. So you can put like vegan cheese and like some spaghetti sauce and make like a little pizza crescent roll. Mm-hmm. I
Bro,
know.
you got some hacks I don't even know. All right,
Fancy.
fancy hacks
You can put
there.
all kinds of stuff in a crescent roll. You also, and this is something I used to do when I lived in New York, you can kind of roll out the crescent dough to make it kind of like almost like just regular old bread dough, and then use several containers of it to make like your own hot pocket.
Hot pocket.
Yeah, so you put like a flat layer of it on the bottom, put
Uh,
some stuff inside, put another crescent roll on top, and now you've got like your own little vegan hot pocket. I'm
huh,
just saying. I
huh.
already ate tonight, and we're going to talk
I
about food
have it, dude.
again.
I still got a meal prep.
Why do we do this to
I don't know,
ourselves?
man. I still got meal prep. I got like a hummus rice thing I'm doing, so look forward to that.
The sacrifices we make for you guys.
Right.
So we talked about the next one in our Halloween episode number 3. If you haven't listened to it, you should go now. Well, after this. But Oreos. Oreos are vegan and I love them so much.
Oreo. I don't see. So there was an Oreo cake at a vegan restaurant I went to, and I had been so long since I had them. It gave me a terrible stomachache.
Oh
I
no.
was I was like freak like, oh my god, what did I eat? But it was a vegan restaurant I've been to 1,000 times. I know they wouldn't mess it up. I was just like,
Right.
I just that's so I don't know something about Oreos. Maybe because there's something in there I haven't had in so long. I just made me nauseous for a while. I think it was just because there was like something there I didn't haven't had in a while.
Way to ruin it, David.
I know, but they are vegan though. So yeah, if you love yourself some Oreos and some vanilla soul milk.
um So our next ones are sweets again, because you know I love sweets. You can make a cake easily with vegan products. So there are Duncan Hines cake mixes and Duncan Hines creamy home style frosting. There are certain flavors that are vegan that have no dairy, no eggs, none of that. Now the way you make the egg, or make the egg, the way you make the cake batter obviously has to be vegan. You have to, use an egg supplement, which I like to use flaxseed. Don't you use something different? We've talked about this.
I use chia seed
Okay.
instead, but it's the same thing. Flax and chia.
Hmm.
It's a 1 to 3 a tablespoon of flax or chia to 3 tablespoons of water gives you equivalent to an egg
And you just let it sit first like a little bit and
for a
it
few
gets
minutes.
kind of all like gooey and gross and
It's slimy,
it
like an
looks
egg white.
gross, but it is amazing. It works perfectly. So, some of my favorites that are vegan, a classic carrot cake. I mean, that is my favorite. I
I love
love
carrot
carrot
cake.
cake. Um, the classic yellow cake is vegan. Devil's food cake. Come on.
No, I can't. I can't think of.
Red velvet. Oh,
I can't.
all of those.
I love red velvet.
So
I can't think of carrot cake without thinking of the episode of The Office where Kevin got upset because there were vegetables in his cake. This is a good party. This cake has vegetables in it. Sorry.
Listen, it's delicious.
No, so what's interesting about the cakes, a little like in Duncan Hines is probably one of the most popular ones. There's Betty Crocker has a couple as well.
Hmm.
A lot of them because they require you to add because dairy and eggs spoil on the shelf, so a lot of them require you to add those in. So when you're looking at cake mixes, again like Meg mentioned, keep an eye out for any dairy or egg because some still have like dairy powders in them.
Hmm.
But generally speaking, a lot of them would likely be, and you can just substitute for. And you know the whole thing behind egg in a cake batter, like pre-made cake batter stuff, right? The pre-made cake stuff.
What about it?
So when they first put out the instant cake batters, like Duncan
Hmm.
Hines and Betty Crocker, stuff like that, no one was buying them. So they you had to add an egg, and people bought them again. People started
Oh,
buying them. You don't actually have to. The egg doesn't really do anything. You don't have to. You don't have to add the egg.
weird.
Yeah, it was some weird. I'm trying to remember what the whole thing is about it, but
I have
like
never heard this before.
people, yeah, look it up. Like the whole cake in a box thing. They weren't buying them. I guess people didn't think they were any good. They thought like, oh, this is crap because you just put some water in it and you have a cake. That's ridiculous. So
Right.
when they added steps, they had you put an egg into it and made it feel more homely and more
Like they're really baking.
like a really make this thing at home, like
Wow.
really baking. And so when they added the requirement to add an egg, which doesn't do really anything, it's one egg, it
Right.
doesn't really do much for the cake. Yeah, it's just it didn't actually have to. You don't have to add an egg into. Look it up. It's really interesting. You can make it
That is
without the egg.
really interesting.
Yeah, it's just it's wild. Again, if having you and I both being in marketing to different degrees, it's crazy like what you have to do to get a user to go, this is amazing. I'm like, no, it's
make it harder for them, and for some reason they
Right.
liked it. That's
It's
so weird.
it's really interesting. Yeah.
Wow. So, you guys can make a cake this weekend after listening to this episode. We will, of course, add a link to the show notes that gives you a source that tells you which cake mixes and frostings are vegan.
And of course, if you follow our Instagram, you'll know that I'm making bread this weekend.
Yes, yes. I actually we just posted that today,
Yeah.
and people are very excited about your bread making.
It's so far it's delicious.
I want to try the bread.
I'll,
Like
I'll make some. I'll make some. Bring it to you.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm derailing
Um,
as always. So
but listen, bread baking is delicious. I'm
it is quite.
excited.
It is quite.
Okay, so the next are Betty Crocker's Bako bacon flavored bits. So some bacon like bits for your salads. Those are not always made with bacon. Sometimes it'll tell you. I mean, it'll say obviously real bacon, but most of the time, like the little bits of bacon flavored whatever actually have no bacon in them. They're just seasonings added to whatever they're made out of. But definitely vegan, if you want them. I don't like them, but I mean, this is an option that people are usually like shocked. They're like, that's not actually bacon?
Yeah,
Oh my
it's soy.
God.
Actually, it's soy. Little soy bits.
Oh, is it? Oh,
It's
even
dried
better.
soy. Yeah, it's dried
Oh
soy,
my
and it's
God.
usually seasoned with natural flavorings and like
Yeah.
liquid smoke and maple and yeah, basically all the stuff that is used to make tempeh bacon. That's
Hmm.
bacon bits. Just they use chunks of little pieces of dried soy.
That's so funny.
Yep.
Okay. Pop Tarts, the non-icing versions, obviously.
Yeah.
The plain basic Pop Tarts.
Yeah.
The brown sugar, blueberry, strawberry, all of those are vegan. Again, not a huge Pop Tart fan, but if I had to pick, I'd pick the brown sugar ones. Which one would you pick?
Between
Oh
those,
no.
strawberry classic.
Okay, classic. All
Classic.
right.
I was growing up. I like to get and I can use vegan butter now. Back then I couldn't, I guess, but now they actually have vegan butter now. But my favorite thing was always get the strawberry ones, put them in the toaster, nice and warm, a little butter on top.
Wow. So
Yeah,
southern.
yeah, and then a little butter on top. Oh, yeah, and butter everything. That's southern right there, baby. So what's interesting about the Pop Tarts? They actually have what they consider their natural versions.
They do.
They do, yeah. And so the non-natural ones have dairy in them. The natural ones don't, but they both have gelatin in them for the icing.
Oh,
So
ugh.
that's the catch.
No
So
wonder that's why.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
no dairy, but there's gelatin. So and that almost got me. I was like, oh my god, there's no dairy. High fives. Wait a minute. Ah, crap.
You
Yeah.
got to get the basic ones.
The base.
Which are not as exciting, whatever.
Put a little vegan butter on top. There you go.
There you go. David gave you a hack. I did not know this next one.
Yeah, I'm excited about the next one.
I did not know this until I was doing notes for this episode, and I almost cried because I love these.
Right.
Nutter butter cookies are vegan, and I just I just assume there's dairy, and I just don't even look. But oh man, those are amazing. Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm looking
them
at the
now.
ingredients now to see if something I feel comfortable putting in my body. Because oh my god. Yeah.
Oh, they are so yummy. I mean, I bet those would be good, a little toasty too, a little warmed up.
Oh, dude. Oh my god, toasting some Nutter Butters? Oh, okay. All right, hold on. You just
Right?
you just sent my whole world into a spiral.
That just
I
sounds
got-
delicious.
Man, I
Just
got
gotta be
to
careful though, because it might get too like the peanut butter inside might get too liquidy. You just gotta get it just right. Oh,
You know
grated-
what? Yeah. Oh, holy crap. This is okay, hold on.
David's looking stuff up during the podcast.
I am because I'm so excited. I should probably stop. I'm just kidding.
No, it's fine.
This is I'm totally excited. I'm like, are you serious? Here we
Well,
go.
because I said toasted butter, Nutter Butters. Got excited.
Yeah, I mean, other than high fructose corn syrup that I try to avoid, it's just flour. Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm
He's so excited.
like,
I
wait
love
a
that
minute.
This is our favorite thing on the list.
And now you're talking about toasting them. Like, okay, we're talking about
I
it's gonna be
know. I made it better. Yay.
bro. Okay, all right, I gotta stop. All right, next before I go too crazy.
Most movie theater buttered popcorn.
Yeah.
National chains.
And
We
this-
talk
this-
about this one.
Yeah, this will surprise most people. It surprised me. I didn't actually know this until somewhat recent. which I usually know all the stuff.
Secrets.
Yeah. But yeah, most of your big chains, your small like mom and pop style, like your local theater that's like owned by like Bob down the street. Maybe not, but your larger chains, oh my god, I just can't think of it right now. Where's some
AMC.
AMC? There you
Is that
go.
it? There you
Yeah,
go.
AMC. That's one of them.
Pull that one right out of my butt.
There you
Regal.
go.
There's one.
What's one?
Regal.
Regal.
Regal
Yeah.
Cinemas.
Right.
Look at
So
me.
those are the probably most popular ones. It's like a butter flavoring.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
Yeah, it's very similar to I think the same type of ones. You've seen the popcorn, like the vegan butter popcorn bags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all use kind of the same type of flavoring. It's a butter flavoring. But yeah,
Interesting.
it's perfectly fine. You can always ask, is it real butter? But if it's a large chain, it's not going to be. It's going to be a butter flavoring. So yeah, should be fine there for butter
Whew.
popcorn. So if you're at the movie theater, use Sour Patch Kids and popcorn. You're good to go.
Off the subject, but we love tangents on here. Did you know you can now rent out an entire movie theater for $99 so you and your friends can go watch a movie?
Oh, where are we gonna go watch?
I know, COVID free, like no, well, I mean, with no strangers in there, so like you can just sit wherever you want.
Oh,
You
wait,
get
you're
the whole
telling
thing. I know, I
What?
kind of think
Did you,
that's
did this,
amazing.
okay, have you been sitting on this, not telling me, or is this new
I
information?
just found out
Because
this
we
week.
got we can make some plans now. We got some friends. We got to make some plans.
We do. We have plenty of friends that would love that. So yeah, we'll
Heck
have to
yeah,
look into
dude.
it. That would be
One
so
of us per
fun.
row. I mean, we sat.
Right.
Okay.
You can
Oh man.
definitely social distance. Totally fine.
I'm assuming
I
that,
can
that but
wipe
that
my
doesn't
seat
that
down
doesn't
before I get there.
but that doesn't include the tickets. You got plus tickets though.
I have no idea. I'll
Okay.
have to
Well,
check.
we talk after the show. We can figure something out.
Yeah, because now we're excited.
I'm super excited.
Okay, we have one more thing on the list. Now, of course, there are other options, other things that you wouldn't realize are vegan, but this is just our list to get you excited. Um, some chips, unless they are sour cream or they might have some dairy or whey product in there, but a lot of chips are vegan. You just obviously have to look at the ingredients like everything else. But you can get a lot of options you wouldn't think were vegan.
Yeah, the Doritos Salsa Verde. Those are the famous ones everyone loves. That are
Mhm.
okay. I'm proud of you as well. I'm proud of you wanting them. Yeah. So chips. The only thing that really usually gets chips is some sort of dairy powder. Usually a whey powder
Mhm.
on them. Everyone. And again, it goes back to the vegan joke of why is there dairy in this?
Yes.
And I usually have to explain to people that dairy is addicting. Dairy breaks down as a casomorphine, so it actually breaks down as essentially quote a drug in your system. Makes it addicting. You put a little dairy on it. Everyone loves your chips. Everyone eats your chips.
Hmm.
It's a trick.
Except for us.
That's it. Yes, we have broken the chain.
We have. Okay, so like I said, there are tons of other food that you didn't realize are vegan, but these are just some of our favorites that we wanted to entice you with, get you excited. And this is just examples to encourage you to check the ingredients on even items you've had your whole life. You never know. Like I never knew Nutter Butters were vegan. You just have to read. And we're going to talk a little bit further in the podcast about some of the things to look out for when you're looking at that ingredient list so you can avoid any traps. We're going to start talking about food that you didn't realize isn't vegan, and that's going to kind of bring up some of those things to look out for.
So yeah,
Okay.
the first one is
All right.
Jello. Just want the Jello. The Jello.
No, you can't do that anymore.
I can do the voice, but just you can't recognize. You can't say who it is.
Creepy.
The Jello. Uh, of course, Jello being made with the stuff that holds skin on, and things are made of hooves. Gelatin.
Oh,
Totally
gelatin.
gross. Yeah, so that's pretty much all Jello. Every Jello, all the Jellos. There are some vegan Jello brands out there. They're not called Jello; they're gelatin desserts. But they're usually made with agar agar. It's probably the most common thing that's used there. But
Have
yeah,
you ever tried a vegan Jello?
I have not. I've had stuff made with agar agar. I've had pies made that, like people make like a pumpkin pie or a sweet potato pie with it to kind of help solidify it. It's not bad.
Okay.
It's definitely slightly different texture, but it definitely gets the job done.
Well, I hate Jello, so I'm cool with it.
Fair enough. Uh,
Because when I was a kid, I had to take this really gross medicine one time, and my mom, like, for some reason, we had a bunch of Jello the week that I took this medicine, and she was like, "Here, eat Jello afterwards to get the taste to go away." But now all I taste is medicine
yeah, there's
every
someone else who had
time.
this. I know someone else who had the
Ruined
same
it.
similar problem. Like they would like give them medicine, make them like a certain candy or like a certain juice, and now they can't have that
Hmm.
juice ever or the candy ever because of that. Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but
Ruined.
yeah,
Which is fine because I don't want Jello anyway.
fair enough.
So gelatin ruins a lot of things besides Jello.
Yes,
Gummy candy, which we talked a lot about in our
yes,
Halloween episode.
as well as
Um,
marshmallows.
yes, which is a bummer,
It's
but
a
there are vegan marshmallow
yes.
options. You can get them at
Dandies.
Trader Joe's. The
Yes,
most is where I get them.
Dandies is their most common
Hmm.
one. I've used the Dandy ones for s'mores, and I've
Yes.
also
I
used
use
them.
them at Thanksgiving for the sweet potato casserole.
Yeah,
I put marshmallows on top of mine. So.
my mom did the same thing once when she made candied yams.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Candy,
yeah.
she made them once with that, and it did pretty well. And I've also roasted them and eaten them off the stick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
They're
Dandies
just as
does
good.
really well. It's actually creepy how close it is.
It really
Um,
is.
they don't quite melt exactly the same. There's a slight difference. But again, if you're doing campfire roasted marshmallows, want to make some s'mores, does the trick. I haven't had a problem. Again, it doesn't melt all the way, so the texture's not completely there. But I would say like it's 90%. That's good enough for me. So
Right. So thankfully there are options out there.
yeah,
So honey is not vegan, and most of us know that, but there are a lot of people that don't realize that.
right.
Um, my nephew, I was talking to him this weekend about this podcast because he's curious, and when he heard me say honey isn't vegan, he had like a million questions. He was just like, "What?" We
What?
just went on and on and on and on about it.
Yeah.
But honey is in a lot of things. So not you can't just not eat honey, but there's a lot of in like foods that have honey as an ingredient like bread.
Yeah.
So you have to look out for that.
And the next one on the list actually kind of goes along with gelatin is beers and wines.
Yeah.
Gelatin is used in some of these, and some of them. I can't. I always had trouble saying the word is isinglass. I think his name is how it's pronounced.
I think
But
it is, yeah.
essentially, it's fish bladders and egg
Hmm.
whites. Those three are used in beers and wines for clarifying them. Um, it's becoming less of a practice nowadays. They're actually using synthetic filters. Guinness, as a matter of fact, a few years ago
Hmm.
switched out, and I actually contacted them not too long ago, and they said that all of their beers at this point that are out there are vegan friendly now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so there is a website called Barnivore.
I was just
Barnivore.
gonna say that.
Yeah, because great minds, man, great minds. I use that. Like if I type in B on my phone, it goes Barnivore. I'm like, yeah, Barnivore.
Yep.
When I'm starting to question my life choices, since that's the first thing that pops up. But so yeah, so many beers and wines, whiskeys aren't usually that much of an issue if you're more of a whiskey person. The only thing to keep in mind when it comes to whiskeys is if they're aged in, they have any type of wine barrel or any type of crossing with wine, which is typical of whiskeys. Usually, there's a couple that actually age in wine barrels. You have to check with the company, and usually Barnivore will have a notification on there if that's the case. But yeah, beers and wines, usually craft beers, local craft beers. They're usually okay. Again, Barnivore is your friend when it comes to beers and wines. But you'd be surprised, and I get that question a lot. I'm looking like if I
Hmm.
really I'll be in a bar on my phone. They're like, "What are you looking up?" And you're trying to see looking up scores because there's a lot of websites about scores. Like, no, I'm trying to see if which one here is vegan friendly, and people are like, "It's beer. Like, what? It's oats and
Mm.
barley and wheat and grapes and this." I'm like, "No, sir." Um, and of course, anything that
I
has honey or like cream or anything
right.
like that, it's going to have dairy or honey in it. Um, yeah. So, but
But there are a lot of
isinglass.
options out there
Yeah.
that you can find that are vegan. So, while there are some that you can't have, there are, again, as we're going down the list, there's always options for you.
Yeah, I say increasingly it's becoming more the case where the beers and wines are becoming more vegan friendly, because the market is growing so substantially, and the vegan market is growing substantially.
Right.
It makes more sense for a company to change over their filtering process, because it doesn't affect the flavor and taste at all. To open up that
Exactly.
market, money makes the world go around, and if you can, there's a donut bakery in Atlanta where they had like two or three options. Revolution Donuts.
Yes. Oh,
They had only had a
man.
couple options. They went to Veg Fest Atlanta, and they sold out of all their donuts like 4 or 5 times. They had to go back and make more. And after that, they have more vegan options. They do non-vegan options, and they sell out constantly. And again, the market was there, so they made the
Right,
adjustment.
exactly.
You
Oh, now I want a donut.
know, I always want donuts. So one thing to keep an eye out for is there's some non-dairy cheeses that actually still have dairy in them. Essentially, have use of a casein in them.
How rude is that? Let's just
Right?
talk about how rude
It's
that
like
is.
really, yeah. So when you say like
Like,
non-dairy, you gotta go. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, it's one of
hate that
those.
so
It's one of those.
much.
Vegan means non-dairy, but non-dairy doesn't always mean vegan.
There you
It's
go.
the same thing as with cruelty-free doesn't always mean vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then food with any red food coloring, or carmine. Is that how you say that?
Yes, we'll go with that.
Okay. My brain always wants to add a sound at the end. Because I don't
I
know.
think that's a
Carmine?
condition.
I don't know.
I think that's a condition. You should. You been to the doctor lately? Hit you like I
Um,
had sounds to words like
I like to add letters and sounds to words.
and just like look
No.
off like and get that 1,000 yard stare like I like to add sounds to words like some
David's
pills for
so
that.
mean to me. Abuse. Anyway, so food with red food coloring or carmine because it is crushed bugs.
Ew.
Ooh, it's so gross. I avoid red food coloring in general just because even though it obviously isn't vegan, but it's in a lot of things too.
Which tell me how about bugs? Shellac it goes along with that as well. Anything that has like
Yes.
a shellac, it's what's called shellac, basically like jelly beans. Anything that's really shiny.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually on candy. Shellac is another one to watch out for. That's also crushed bugs as well, but it creates a clear coating as opposed to coloring.
Ugh, that makes my skin crawl. Okay. Another thing that you didn't realize isn't vegan is okay.
You can do it.
Worcestershire
That's pretty good.
sauce.
Worcestershire, yeah,
There you go. Because it has anchovies in it.
yes. That sucks. So like growing up, my mom went. That's gross, but you know when we would do like steaks or something like that, that's what my mom put on
Hmm.
steaks and stuff like that growing up. Um, and they have a vegan version of it too, but like that's like a flavor that I always like harken back to like cookouts. I
Yeah.
need to pick up the vegan version and put that on my seitan steaks. I haven't done that before.
Isn't the vegan version the Bragg's amino acid liquid thing?
No, no.
No.
There's Bragg's. Bragg's is more of a soy sauce.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I got it mixed up.
Tell
So
you, man.
sorry.
Tell you. It's all
I
right.
know.
You'll get there. I'll teach you.
I don't really use it,
Right. No.
so
I use straight soy sauce, so the same soy sauce.
yeah.
But no. But there is a vegan Worcestershire sauce. See, I say yeah. Some people say Worcestershire. I say
Hmm.
Worcestershire because it's
There you go.
shinier. So
There it is. So you're not adding word or sounds to
there
words
we go.
like me.
Phonetics.
Um, Pesto is not vegan, which is a super bummer. I mean, it's very rare that you find one that is vegan. I don't know how to say this. Is it Renette? Renette?
Sure.
Renette. That's what's included. There's also because it's in Parmesan cheese. That's what's in Parmesan cheese, like one of the things, which is the stomach lining of young calves.
All right.
It's delicious.
And roll credits. I'm sick, grossed out now.
Yummy. So no pesto, which is a bummer, but you can make your own vegan version. So again, everything we have on here also has a vegan alternative. So no worries, you can
No,
do it.
no worries.
Next, white granule sugar, which we did talk about. I think it was in last episode, episode 4. We talked about sugar, did we?
Yeah,
Or
but
maybe it
so
was Halloween.
it
One
was
of
how it
those.
was the Halloween episode. Talk about the sugar, I believe.
Yeah.
Now
Oh,
I
and
don't
then
remember. Go back, listen to all our episodes, guys. You'll know which
yeah,
one we
and let
talked
us
about.
know.
You let us know. We recorded it. We're done. We don't think about that. You let us know what it is. Yeah, but it's filtered and clarified with bone char, which is what it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Some veggie burgers. So just because it says a veggie burger doesn't mean it is vegan. There's usually hidden egg or dairy inside. Almost, I mean, so many of them have egg. So if you're going out to a restaurant and they have a veggie burger, you may get excited. But if you ask and then also check on their website, because most servers have no idea, they usually have egg in them or
Yeah.
dairy of some sort.
M-
I'm assuming they put the egg in to kind of get everything to stick together or
Yeah.
whatever, but it's a super big bummer
Morning.
when there's no other option and you're like so excited that there's that option, but you still can't have it.
Typically, if you're a place that has pre-bought, or if you're buying in the store, Morningstar is usually the culprit. Morningstar's gotten better. They're actually switching to a lot. They're switching
They are,
most of all
yeah.
the things to vegan, but Morningstar tends to have egg in it as their binder. If Boca, there's one Boca burger that I think the original still has it, but almost all the Boca burgers are vegan. So if that's your option if you're out and about. But Morningstar is your biggest one that uses egg as a binder. It's the most common one.
Tricky, tricky. Vanilla flavored items.
Yes. So vanilla flavored items. Again, if it comes from the anal gland of a beaver.
Holy shit.
Yes. So if it's yeah, you gotta be careful with that. I mean, really, if you're something that's flavored with vanilla, you make sure it's vanilla, like real vanilla. If it's
Right.
not, you don't do it. You run the high risk of it being beaver anal glands.
I
Yeah,
have tears. That is.
I think Starbucks' vanilla was came from that for a while, and they switched it out a while back. But yeah, you gotta be careful with vanilla. That one will get you.
Oh,
Humors are weird. Humors are
that is
super
a
weird.
super weird one.
Crushed up
I-
bugs and anal glands from a beaver.
Oh my
We
god.
will. I mean, I mean, I just okay.
The last thing on our list is some refried beans.
Right. And if you're like, you give me a look, and
I'm like, what?
I like me some bean burritos. Those are good.
Okay.
No doubt. But a lot of them will use lard. Not a
Mhm.
lot. Some it's like a 50-50. Some use lard. Some don't. Some don't have any at all. Usually, if you get like either get vegetarian beans, which are always the vegan,
Right.
or fat free. Usually, it's fat free. It's a little higher in sodium, but there's no added fat to it, so it's just the natural fats in the beans. Um,
Okay.
So look for that. Always check ingredients, but lard is a common one that's used in refried beans.
When you are checking those ingredients, we have a list of some things to look out for. And now we've talked about some of these things, so it'll be repetitive, but a lot of them we haven't really talked about. So the term plant powered.
That's become such a high marketing term, and it's pissing me off so much. I can't remember. I was Trader Joe's. I was in Trader Joe's. I go to Trader Joe's a couple of times a month just to kind of get like some snickety snacks, things I rarely get. Just hey man, it's been a long week. And I was like, I want to do I want to do some like a breakfast for dinner. Let's do something like that. And they had plant powered sausages. I'm like, sweet. I'm here. Don't think anywhere else. Sweet. Picked them up and had egg in them.
Ugh.
So plant powered has become this marketing buzzword that doesn't mean vegan at all. It just basically plant
No.
usually means it's not made from meat. That's it. It doesn't have an animal flesh inside of it. That's usually what it means, but it still could have dairy and it still could have egg in it.
Right.
So yeah.
And lactose free is not dairy free.
Right.
Let's just remember that.
Right. Because a lot of people who have lactose intolerance, which that's everybody, that's a whole other conversation. Irritates me.
Wish
Like,
you
I'm
guys
lactose
could see me.
intolerant. I'm like, everyone is. You stop producing the enzyme to break down dairy when you're 4. Anyway, But you'll see milks are like lactose free. Doesn't mean it's a dairy milk. Usually it comes, doesn't mean a non-dairy milk comes from, it's dairy, but they've gone through a chemical process to remove the lactose from it. So people who have a lactose intolerance, or at least a high lactose intolerance, it doesn't bother them. You'll see that in a lot of like vegetarian cheeses that are like lactose free, or like that. That just same thing. It still has it's still dairy based. They just remove the lactose, so people who have a high lactose intolerance, as I say, rolling my eyes,
I love it.
can consume it without having to worry about having stomach issues.
The next on the list is non-dairy. All these are kind of dairy
They
related.
are, but the that is really what gets you in the vegan cheeses.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Those cheeses we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
This is what gets you. It says non-dairy. That doesn't mean it is dairy free. That's the thing. And this really really hits home with non-dairy creamers.
Yes.
Powdered non-dairy.
Yes.
You go if you're at like you say you're getting your breaks done. You're sitting around waiting for them to finish, and you're gonna grab a cup of coffee. Non-dairy creamer. It still has dairy in it. It's
Yes.
it's a really tricky marketing buzzword, and it usually has some sort of whey powder in it to
Mm-hmm.
give it that creaminess. So when you mix it in your coffee, non-dairy doesn't necessarily mean non-dairy. I know it sounds counterintuitive. It's really weird, but
It's
non-dairy
rude again.
usually has some sort of dairy product in it. I don't know the legal reason behind they can say that, even though it's still a dairy product.
Right. Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
seems like it should be
lact-
wrong.
lactose free and non-dairy doesn't mean non-dairy. And I know that sounds weird.
But that's again just pushes our point that you have to look at the ingredients.
Right.
Um, okay, so some words to look out for, some ingredients to look out for. Obviously, honey, which we talked about earlier, which is hidden in a lot of things like bread and things like that.
Right.
Dairy, which we just talked about. So, milk, milk powder, butter, whey is the thing that tricks people. If you don't know that whey means milk and dairy, then you're going to be eating a lot of it and not realize it.
Yeah, especially whey gets you whey powder, really like chips, stuff like that.
It's in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Eggs, whether they're whole, white, or yolk. There's a lot of things that have like egg whites in them for some reason. So that's like always a tricky little thing to keep an eye on too.
Mm-hmm. And casein, casein is another one we talked about. Talked about it briefly. That's actually part of dairy as well. Dairy, they stick dairy in everything. Again, dairy is addictive. It creates a casein, casomorphine in the body, breaks it down. It triggers your brain to go, "Oh, that was nice. I like that," because you hit your reward center in your brain, and it gets you addicted to it. So casein is found buried in a lot of things. It's those words they hide in there, so you'll glance over it and keep on going. You'll get it and not realize it. And of course, gelatin we talked about the other topic, earlier. I haven't eaten dinner yet. My brain no works so well. And glucose can is another one. I know I'm running through them, but with some of these we've talked about previously. But glucose we didn't talk about. That can come from plant sources. It can also come from animal sources. Labels will specify typically if it comes from a plant source. Usually it'll say like plant derived in parentheses or something to that effect. If it doesn't say it, I usually would just put it back.
Right.
That's one of those things that I'm like, I'm not even going to mess with that. And again, lactose is a milk sugar. And that actually will get added in. Again, it's dairy and it's a sugar. It's really going to hit this pleasure center of your brain. Get you, I'm using addicting as various in quotes, people. It's not,
Get you hyped up.
Get you hyped up, get you wanting it more. Because it hits the pleasure center of your brain. Your brain goes, ooh, that was tasty. That was good. That made me happy. Let's buy more of that. It's all marketing. It's all little tricks that played.
See how I hide when you say it's a marketing thing?
Listen,
Listen, I do good marketing.
You do good
not
marketing.
Bad marketing.
You do marketing for housing though, so that's even better.
Yes.
I build websites, so I kind of although I haven't really done worked for any companies as a vegan that was questionable. I did the aquarium's website, but I hadn't really. Yeah, it was years and years and years and years ago. I don't think I had gone vegan yet, by that point. Suet and tallow. Those are two like really weird words, and they both mean animal fat.
Okay. Look at
Um,
me learning things.
yeah, and and
I didn't even know how to say that first word.
yeah, I didn't know how to say suet until I heard it on The Office.
Okay, good. The
um,
Office has taught you so
it has
much,
really
we
really
can
has.
determine.
But suet and tallow again. Anything that's gonna have like greasy, like it's gonna be greasy. If animal, it's going to be greasy. And it says suet or tallow. That means they've added animal fat to give it that greasiness in it. And the final one on here is D3. Vitamin D gets added to cereals. It's in a lot of cereals, a lot of grain products gets added to those. I've seen them. Those usually come. They
In like orange juice as well.
yeah, it gets added to orange juice as an additive. Yeah, high fives.
Hmm.
Boom. Distance five. Um, but it comes from lanolin and I believe duck feathers as well. There are plant
Oh,
derived. It can become plant derived. Now, if something is labeled vegan, like it's a vegan product, has like like vegan on it, and it has vitamin D, vitamin D3 added to it, that's fine. But if it's
right.
not a specifically labeled as vegan, something that had to be labeled vegan has to actually pass some parameters to get that label on it. If it has D3 added to it, it's not labeled vegan, and they're not specifying where it comes from. I would put that back because there's a high likelihood it's coming from an animal source. Usually because it's cheaper to come from an animal source. So unless it's specified plant derived, I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't touch it. Again, you see it a lot in cereals, orange juices. Very good. He adds that in there. But you see it. I see it's seen a lot in cereals. They add it as a fortified cereals.
To make you feel like you're having a healthy cereal.
Yeah, I'm eating wool or duck feathers. Delish. With
Gross.
tallow and crushed beetles. Holy crap.
Oh, gross. All
Garody.
right, so we went over a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff.
A lot.
And you're
So,
welcome.
delicious, yummy things that you didn't know were vegan, you can go munch on right now. Some things that you definitely can't if you're following a vegan lifestyle, and words to check in your ingredient list, which is very, very important. It's the main point of this podcast today is to make sure you look at those ingredients. And if you have any questions, we've told you that you could join a local Facebook vegan group because that's where we get a lot of our answers. If there is something that people aren't sure about on the ingredient list, that's a group of people that can help you. You can also message us on Instagram. I mean, David and I can answer for you. If you're in the grocery store and you see an ingredient list and you're confused, send it to us on Instagram and I'll make David answer.
And I promise not to ramble too much when I answer you.
No, we're just
Half
want
promise.
you to
I'll ramble.
read the ingredients and you should be okay. But there are a lot of things. I think the first part is the part to get excited about. The things that you didn't realize were vegan, things that you thought you had to give up, but you don't. So use this list. Use our rambling to make the best of it. Um, what?
Use our rambling.
um,
No. It's my rambling. I'm the one who rambles on. Ramble on. It's time.
Listen, our rambling is helpful at least. I mean, there's some benefit to it.
Yes.
Plus, we're entertaining and we're adorable.
That's totes true.
Yeah,
Totes my guts.
it's true. All right. Well, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, or anywhere else you get your podcast fix. Make sure to leave us a review. Pretty please leave us a review. Recommend us to your friends, family, coworkers, strangers, anyone. Of course, you should follow us on Instagram at The Average Vegans or email us at theaveragevegans@gmail.com. Show notes, links, and more can be found at theaveragevegans.com. And we'd love to hear your vegan story, your favorite vegan treats, your episode suggestions, and any questions you might have. That's it.
That's it. All right. Bye, guys.
See you next week.